Well, hiya, BookTube. Bill Ruttenberg here with the Ruttenberg Library. Wanted to do a tag today because it is Tag Tuesday. Happy Tag Tuesday to everyone. Hope everyone can find a tag that is unique that you can do and share with the world. The one that I want to share today is the book snack tag. This was put out back October 8th, so a couple of weeks back, by the Midnight Reader, Rosica at the Midnight Reader. She originally created this, and I saw it on Aaron Go Reed's channel, and I thought it was kind of a fun little tag, pretty easy to do, to go through the shelves and find some books that match up with the prompts. And again, this is the book snack tag. So all of the prompts have got matched up with book snacks, and so I thought it was kind of fun. So anyway, here we go. So the first question or prompt is sweet, the chocolate chip cookie of books. Pick a book that is warm-hearted, uplifting, and makes you less cynical about the world. And I got to, thinking about this one, and one of my daughter's favorite movies is Charlotte's Web, and of course that's the classic book by E.B. White that probably everybody has a copy of in their house. And I know, what was it, Scholastic Books did Charlotte's Web forever in schools, and everyone's got a copy of it. Yeah, everybody but me, or at least I can't find it. I know we have one somewhere. I hunted and hunted to show you a copy of the book. Couldn't find it. But you guys all know the story of Charlotte's Web, Charlotte the spider, and then the pig who's going to be sold at the market. And anyway, there's a lot of cynicism in the story, in the background, but Charlotte brings hope to the story, and it's just a good, warm-hearted, tender loving story. And yeah, that's my answer for the prompt. So number 2, salty, inherently craveable. Pick a book or series that you couldn't stop reading or reaching for. All right, and I actually picked a couple of books. They're by the same author. I read these, oh gosh, it's been forever ago, probably, it might be almost 20 years ago I read these, but I absolutely loved them. I could not put them down. They were very fast-paced, and if you watch the channel, you know I love my sports. And so these are both actually sports novels by Jerry B. Jenkins. He reads fast-paced stories that are just really good. This one is The Youngest Hero. It's about a young kid who's kind of a excellent baseball player, and a little prodigy of sorts. And it's about his life in using baseball to make better for himself. And then the other one that I chose was Jerry B. Jenkins' book Hometown Legend, and this is about a small Alabama town that the factories are leaving town, and the one last factory that kind of holds up the town is on the verge of closing its doors. And if it closes its doors, everything else in the town goes with it. This is a typical small town story, really. Even around here in Iowa, we get problems like this. But being in Alabama, football is the main sport, and the school is on the brink of closing because the factory's going to close, and all the families will leave because of that. And one of the things the school does is they bring back a classic, a legend of sorts for the coaching staff, who at once found the heights of football fame, and they bring him back for one last hurrah. And so it's about him trying to save things through the football. And the story also has a couple of young people, has a young star football player who's got some issues with his background, and it's just a really good story. And yeah, typical small town story, and what football and just one factory can mean to a town. Anyway, highly recommend those. I thought they were really good reads. I need to go back and reread them. They're due for rereads one of these days. So prompt number 3 is cheesy. Like Cheeto dust, you can't escape the cheese. Pick a book that you love because of or in spite of its cheesiness. And I picked, and I went upstairs to find it, and it's buried in one of the shelves somewhere. I got a paperback copy of this that's absolutely falling apart, and it's been taped together, not even with Scotch tape or book tape. It was actually, I used originally athletic tape. Do not ask. It totally ruined the book. Not that it was in good shape, because it was literally just falling apart. Not even the spine broke, but shattered. And anyway, the book is The Fifth Grave by Jonathan Latimer. And this is a 1941 detective novel during the pulp era of detective novels. And it is so incredibly cheesy. It is your classic detective novel of the time period. But it is so cheesy. I love it. I found it. Where did I find it? I think it was at my parents' house up in a closet somewhere, I think is where I found it. And I just randomly grabbed it and read it one time when I was, middle school, high school, I don't know, something like that. And I absolutely loved the book. And then it's been probably a couple years now. A couple years ago, I read that book again. I think it may have even been for March Mystery Madness, maybe, because it was a murder mystery, trying to figure out who the murderer was. And absolutely loved the book, The Fifth Grave. It is your classic cheesy detective novel. I do recommend it if you like cheesy detective novels. One of these days, I'm going to get, they have reprinted it. They reprinted it about, I think it was 2014 or 2016, something like that. They reprinted the novel, and I need to get a copy of the reprint. I need to look into doing that just for the sake of being able to go back and get some cheesy snacks again. So prompt number 4, deep fried. You bit too soon into the hot batter and got burned. Pick a book that hurt to read. All right, and so for this book, I picked, this is a book that I have talked about on this channel over and over and over again over the last, I think it's been 2 years now, but this is The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls, and this was a awesome memoir of her life when she was younger. Absolutely loved the book, but at the same time, I bit into this, and it hurt to read when you get into some of the stuff that she suffered when she was younger, going back and forth from home to home. And I say they were moving a lot. Her parents were moving a lot, and just the poverty and just all the stuff that came with her childhood. Very, very good book. Highly recommend that. Number 5, ice cold. Sometimes the snack you want can only come from the deep freezer. Pick a book that transports you to a cold place. Now, I was going to pick, I had one by James Michener about the gold rush up in Alaska. I've used that one on different prompts before for like cold settings. I also had one that was by Dan Brown that was set up in the Arctic, and I've used that one. So I tried to go a little bit different for this one. And I'm going back to the American Revolutionary War. And if you know your history, the crossing of the Delaware, the classic painting, they were hit in New Jersey and Pennsylvania area in 1776 and 1777 by blizzard after blizzard after blizzard. And so I picked The Winter Soldiers, The Battles for Trenton and Princeton by Richard Ketcham. And this is a history book of those two battles and over that cold, cold winter where, the soldiers had to walk through the snow barefoot and all the, the classic stories of Revolutionary War sufferings. And so I picked that one. And then the other one that I picked for this prompt also goes to the Revolutionary War. And this is a biography, but the Drillmaster of Valley Forge, the Baron de Steuben, and the making of the American Army. And of course, he was brought onto the scene at Valley Forge, which is in Pennsylvania, and it was over the long winter. And depending on what you read and how it's done, some historians have said that was a cold, brutal winter. and it had tons and tons of blizzards, snowfall after snowfall after snowfall. But there's also evidence that suggests that, yes, there were tons of snowfalls, but it would snow and then the temperatures would rise and it would melt off, and I'm not saying like 60 degrees or anything. I'm saying, in the high 30s, and it would melt off and then it would snow again, then melt off, snow again. But so it kind of depends on what you read, who you're reading. But that winter was pretty, I think it was a brutal winter. It would have been tough to be a soldier at Valley Forge during that winter encampment. But this is where Baron von Steuben, he comes in and trains the American army and actually gives them a few skills that they can use on the battlefield against the British, and allows them to stand up mano a mano a little bit more anyway. Maybe not 100%, but a little bit more against the British Army. And and really, I think probably during this winter training, probably what's more important is not only do they get training, but they get pride in themselves. They get a pride in the Army. And so recommend those books. So let's see here. Number 6 is sour. Some things are too sour to keep a straight face. Pick a book that made you make faces while you were reading. And so it's been a month and a half ago, something like that. I had some friends that had read the book Verity by Colleen Hoover. It's a newer book that's out. It's a thriller. I'm not going to talk too much about it. They had some good conversations going about the main part of the book, and they said it's a little bit saucy, and I was like, okay, I can still read it. Well, I read it, and as I was reading it, it definitely made me make faces. There are scenes in that book that made me go, and I'm not even going to talk about what made me do that look. I felt I probably turned beet red at the same time I was reading it. It made me, I'll be honest, it made me feel dirty. But anyway, let's just move on. Number 7, the healthy snack. You picked this up because it was good for you. Pick a book that you read to improve yourself in some way. All right, so if you follow the channel, you know that I am not big into like self-help books. They are probably my least favorite type of book. And so what I picked was a self-help for me. It would not go in the self-help genre, but it would be a self-help for me at the time. When my wife and I, first got married, you guys, if you followed the channel, I'm adopted. I was in a lot of foster homes, didn't know a lot of my family background and all that kind of stuff. And part of my coming to grips with my own personal story was doing genealogy, studying my family's history and my past and looking at records, which goes right with my history background also. And so the books that I chose for this prompt, the books that helped me improve myself, in other words, just kind of come to grips with my life in general, was a series of genealogy books. And this first one, I'll show you a couple of them. I got a whole shelf of them. Some of them are over here, but a whole bunch of them upstairs. But this is A Genealogist's Guide to Discovering Your Immigrant and Ethnic Ancestors, How to Find and Record Your Unique Heritage. And this is by Sharon DeBartolo Carmack. And she's a genealogy specialist. She's got a lot of these. They're a little bit bigger books. So just to give you an idea how big the book is, this is the one I just held up. So it's a good sized book, but it has got all kinds of stuff in it that, helpful pointers and tips, and it's got a lot of pictures showing records to show you the examples. I just have thoroughly enjoyed reading these. I enjoy the subject matter to begin with, and so I can actually read those cover to cover. They're probably meant more to pick and choose through the chapters, but I've read them cover to cover and really enjoyed them. I've gotten a lot of use out of them. As I said, I have a whole shelf of them over here. But the other one that I pulled out for you to see is They Became Americans, Finding Naturalization Records and Ethnic Origins by Loretto Dennis Zooks, or Sooks. And I like just the cover of this one. But it's the same thing. You know, they're all designed kind of similar to each other. It's not hard reading. Lots of different pointers on where to go to get records, how to corroborate evidence, and you know, compare and contrast different things. I got several of them over here on female history because, as you know, when you go back in the records, females kind of get lost in the records because it was mainly males that had records produced. When you get back to, especially like the early, early 1800s and into the 1700s and then further back. And so it can be kind of hard to trace some family lines. And so I've used these for different ideas, and I've gotten a lot out of them. So anyway, so that is my healthy snack. Let's see. And the number 8, juicy. Like an orange or a watermelon, some snacks have plenty of pieces to share. Pick a book that is profoundly shareable, a book you want others to read. Okay, I've talked about this book a couple of times on my channel, but it's been a while, so I thought I'd bring it up again. I have read this book with my 7th grade class when we've covered just different cultures in Africa. And it's Facing the Lion, Growing Up Maasai on the African Savannah by Joseph Lomasole Lekuton. And this is a memoir of Joseph's life when he was younger, and then what he did to not only help himself, but to help his tribe, the Maasai tribe in Kenya. And he eventually, I'd have to look it up. I don't know if he's still in the Kenyan parliament, but he used to be, he worked himself up from a herder all the way up into the parliament, and he took advantage of some stuff that was provided as far as education and being able to get a free education and come to the United States and get a college education. He taught in Virginia for a while. The kids loved him. From everything I've read, they loved having him, and he would take them on trips back to Kenya, and just really cool story on and of course, the main theme of it is facing the lion. And of course, with the Maasai tribe and their cattle, they have to worry about lions. And so it's a literal facing the lion that the tribe faces. But also he does a play on that and talks about we all have lions in our lives that we have to face. And troubling times, and how do you face them, and you need to be brave and face the lion. Don't hide from the troubles, face them head on. And it's just a really, really good message. I'll show you, like in the text is not, it's not dense or anything. It's pretty easy read. I used to read it with my 7th graders. And what is it, 123 pages. Very worth your time. Comes from National Geographic Books. Love this story. Highly recommend it. Go out and find that one. All right, and then the last prompt is the snack pack. And this is, everyone wins when you swap and share your snacks. Tag some friends to do the tag. I was trying to think of people to do this. I'm going to tag some of my friends out there. I'm going to tag Steve Donoghue. I'm going to tag Peg over at the History Shelf. I am going to tag Scott and Becky at the Bookish Bryants. And let's see here. Let's see. I'll just leave it at that. I'll leave it with those. Anybody else that wants to do the tag, yeah, go ahead and do it. But those are the 3 I'm going to pinpoint for this one. Enjoyed doing this. Thank you to Rosica at the Midnight Reader for creating this. Very creative. Loved her video, so I'll put a link to that video down below in the description. And then Erin Go Read, who I originally saw the video on, did a great job with this. And I'll put a link to her video as well, along with the questions and prompts from the tag. So BookTube, thank you for watching. Thank you for spending some time with me this morning before I get ready to go to school. Got parent-teacher conferences tonight, so today's going to be a long day. So I thought I'd do something fun before the long day. So anyway, thank you for watching. I hope everyone's having a great week so far. And until next time, happy reading.